I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Dr. Bones, listening to Dr. Bones.
Good evening, this is Dr. Bones Live, and tonight is a returning guest, and that would be Almark to talk about his one of his first albums, or that he ever put out, which was called Thought Patterns. So, Almark, man, welcome back to the show.
How's it going?
Very well, how about yourself?
I'm doing good today, thank you.
So we should be able to cover most of this album in about 2 shows, so that's gonna work out just fine. I haven't got the songs completely memorized by name yet, and so for the queue up, we'll have to play it first and talk about the song title after, just because the way it was set up, the songs didn't come through. Well, they came through, but all I have is your name and what it is, but it doesn't go all the way down to the actual song. The only one that works out properly is the song called Thought Patterns. So maybe we'll, even though it's one of the last tracks, we'll start off with that one first. How about that?
So it didn't work the other way?
No, unfortunately it didn't. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes I got to go back and edit it, and normally it works, but this time the title is so long that it cut it out completely.
Alright, go ahead.
All right, well, we'll start with Thought Patterns, because this one did come through properly. So we'll start with that one, and then we'll be back in a few to talk about it. Dig this. Right on. That was Almark with Blown Glass from his album Thought Patterns. And we seem to have lost the connection, but that's alright. We should have him back here in 1 second. And do we have you back there? Right. Let me call him again and try this one more time. Seem to be having just a small little issue here, but no big deal. We'll get him back in just a moment here. There we go. Hey, Almark.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. All right, we're back. The call like literally just started fizzing there. I'm not sure what happened, but we're back now. So, Blown Glass. This was a really cool tune. I really enjoyed this one, and it was even cooler that you actually had a video to go with it. And actually just watched it again. I told you this just before I got on the air. I watched it again about a half hour ago or so, and it's kind of cool. I mean, I like the idea behind it. I mean, I know it's pretty much like blowing glass, but just a couple of times, where the screen goes black. There was a couple of times there I thought the video was over. Like, well, this is a really short song, and then it would come back on. I was like, well, oh.
I'm sure that throws people off.
But yeah, it's a great tune. I mean, the way it starts off, obviously there's a lot of kind of like pauses in it, but it's kind of a gradual build, which makes it a lot more interesting and gives it a bit more depth to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole album was done live, and before I started getting a fan base on Twitter last year, I made this album. It was around March of 2013, I think. And I just started promoting it here and there, and I'm not sure how many people heard it, but I remember it was playing on a website called shartnet.com, and Shartnet kind of went away. So that was my first little, taste of getting my music on the internet. But the album itself is it's very ad-libbed.
Okay.
Live that one night, and I think it took me about 2-3 weeks to do the setup of all the stuff, but some of the songs were created on the fly. Like Blown Glass was created on the fly, but Plane Ride to London was not. It was, part of it was, and then the other part wasn't. So that's what I'm going to do in the future for my album. Another show I'm going to do, 3-part 1, 4, 5, 9. That would be Pi. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right on. Well, we're going to get into another tune in just one moment here. Since this is your first album, what kind of, we'll put it this way, how did you finally think of, like, I'm actually going to do albums instead of just kind of doing it for your own personal fun and that sort of thing?
Well, Thought Patterns in Documentary Form was not really my first album, but it was my first taste of doing live performance over the internet. And I did that with a friend. Her name was Carrie, and she listened to me do like a lot of stuff, the crunching matrices and a couple of other stuff I did last year. And this was pre-ATD.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so it gave me an inspiration to build on, And people started saying, this sounds very avant-garde. And it's very abstract. And so it's been a real learning experience for that.
Well, right on. I mean, it's... I've listened to it, I listened to it the first time yesterday, and I listened to it not too long after that, just kind of let it really soak in, so I really enjoyed it, and it just, the songs are kind of like ATD are fairly different from the last one, and they're different, maybe, what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, they got their different feel to them. And that's what makes them cool because, it's nice to have them distinguished and kind of flow properly, the way they're supposed to, because, like we've talked before, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Electronic music is a lot harder than people think it is. So, that being said, we're going to get to another tune here, and I'll tweet the name of it as soon as we're done here, because I'm not sure just the way it came up on the on the screen here. So here's another song, Thought Patterns by Almark. Dig this one.
Why is the Pentagon wanting U.S. citizens?
Through the process of sustainable development policy, several things are occurring. Through the process of sustainable development policy, several things are occurring.
As a potential danger to society. And
every generation faces corruption and is forced to stand up against it or become enslaved.
States. So we need to start putting some teeth into our state laws, and we need to be electing sheriffs that are going to protect us from federal agents when they initially don't understand this because their civics lessons weren't very good at.
The only way
One of an uprising in the states.
Any of that, even though we mailed him packets of that material.
FEMA ARP button. FEMA.
They're going to be beating down. They're going to be beating.
On another on another on another pro 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 On another program. On another. 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 On another.
Just discuss. We'll even discuss, but start the song. So this song was called "The False Euphemism Mentality Association." Now this one is like a lot. Well, almost want to say heavier than most of the other songs, and it was kind of cool because I wasn't expecting that in this song. Like about halfway through, it kind of like really picked up and a good pace, and just all the different people, the quotes, and obviously one of the most recognizable one was Bill Clinton.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in that. I got the idea from watching a documentary, which is why this is called Thought Patterns in Documentary Form. It's all based on my love for documentary. You know, I would actually like to make a documentary someday. That would be kind of neat. But this one came from a documentary called FEMA America. I think American Lockdown. And so, you know, it's got the guy from InfoWars on it, you know, Mr. Gruff, what's his name? Alex Jones.
Okay.
And, you know, he is the anti-government, you know, America. And he's always talking about how the tyranny of America is going on. Well, this particular song comes from that video. So I took all these different parts and just made my music in the background and came along with this bombastic thing, because as I was creating it live, you know, you have this energy that flows through you. It's like I turn into something else because, you know, you're someone's listening,
right?
And you're playing, and you can't go backwards. You can only go forward. You can only go forward, right? And so I thought, well, you know, I've got this stuff set up, and I'll just do whatever. And I just kept, you know, holding down the key and hitting it, tacking it, and, you know, I had all these samples, and that's how that song was born, pretty much.
Well, it's a very cool tune. Like I said, I really, really enjoy this one.
Thank you.
And I wish I'd had memorized the songs just a little bit better. Like, I mean, like I know the songs, I just don't know all the titles yet, and I kind of feel bad that I don't. But we're keeping on top of it, so we're gonna jump into another one here, which will remain nameless for just a few minutes here, and we'll be right back. Alright, that was Pots and Pans by Almark off Thought Patterns, a documentary. That one was a little different and more or less like, maybe wrong choice of words, but kind of closer to the end. Excuse me, the kind of the fade out was actually like really cool, and kind of like that last like little. I'm not even sure if it was synth or what you used for it, but it was sounded very good at the end.
Thanks. It was actually, some people think it's a violin, but it's a part of a sample that I zoomed real far in. If you know sampling, you can mess with the waveform in a very small way in the loop, and it creates a cello type sound when it's doing its oscillations, going back and forth. And when you play the keys, it gets longer and longer. And it's just the way I did it, it turned out to be that. And that's why I named it Pots and Pans. That clunking sound all comes from a very small portion of sound that I looped over and over again.
Well, right on. Like like I said, it flows very well, and I kind of like that end. Like I said, like this album obviously is completely different from ATD, which is cool, but it's got almost like a little bit of a darker feel to it as far as like, you know, the kind of like the heavier kind of set work you put into it.
The energy is different, like I said, because I was doing it all live. And not many people can tell that it is a live album, because after I did it live, I mixed it a little bit to make it sound proper. But everything you hear is exactly how I did it that night.
Oh man, job well done, because that's not an easy thing to do. Next up, we're gonna move into pretty much the shortest song on this album. So we're gonna listen to this right now. Alright, that was Almark with serial number 010101. Did I get all of them?
That's right.
Alright. Now, this one was very different from. It almost sounded like one of those door stops, the kind of the twinge on the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's just a real deep bass synth. And it was kind of like the introduction into the rest of the album, because after that, and as tonight, things are out of order, and normally it would go into Blown Glass, and then Plane Ride to London, and Solar Motion, you know what I mean?
right. But,
so it was a snippet of sound before you get to the next, part of the album.
Well, hopefully, I know we're kind of jumping around here a bit, but it makes it a bit more interesting, I guess you can say, and doesn't always happen, but now we're making it work, and that's what's important. So
yeah, it's rearranged. It's cool.
We're here to talk about the music, and that's what we're gonna do. So next up, we're gonna get to another song here, and I'll be between the name of it in just one moment. So this is another song by Almark. Dig this. All right, that was Almark with Plane Ride to London. And this song is cool. We played it actually a few times already because you were kind enough to give that to us earlier. And it's a good tune. And you mentioned, it kind of sounds like being on a plane. The fuselage, and you got a good point because it does in some instances. It really does. And anyone who's flown knows the kind of the we'll call it the hum when you're sitting down in your seat.
The idea for Plane Ride to London was really just an idea of just making music, but I didn't give a name to it until after the album, which was the beauty of it because I didn't know what it was I was doing. I had written the song and the album, and going back and listening to each part of the live sequences, I said Plane Ride to London. That's what I'm going to name that one. And it just had a UK feel to it. Just to me, it sounded like something between an influence of drum and bass and almost the soundscape type thing. This is the untold story of thought patterns in documentary form, which I'm really glad to be able to speak about this album because it's certainly overdue.
Oh, absolutely, man, and it's no problem, man. This is your three-peat time. This is your third time on the show too.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So we're gonna finish up with this part of the show with Plane Ride to London. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so, and we'll start with part 2, and we'll continue on with Almark's album Thought Patterns in Documentary Form. So until then, bones out. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back in about 5-10 minutes latest. Right? Talk to you guys. Thanks.